Welcome to the second episode of the Extra Sheets. Today we're talking about constituency projects. Yes, those very naughty constituency projects. You may have stumbled on some very strange sites in the budget, like an advertising regulatory agency building bridges, the Ministry of Agriculture constructing palaces, or the Polytechnic building roads that he has no business with. I'm sure you are tired of these anomalies. Budget highlights them every single year, and we are tired because this has become a very sad feature of Nigeria's budgeting process. Like, what is the business of the federal government in constructing local palaces? So where does the problem really start? It begins with who controls the budget. Typically, the executive prepares and submits the budget, and the National Assembly has argued that it has broad and boundless power to alter the budget. And to be fair, the budget process is a lawmaking process. Once passed and signed, it becomes an appropriation act. The word act means the executive is bound to obey it, but it does not work this way everywhere. In countries like the United States and Brazil, the legislature indeed has what it calls the power of the purse, which means the president's proposal is treated like a recommendation, like a directive. However, there are important guardrails to this. In the United States, the Maryland, the legislature cannot expand the budget beyond the executive's proposed size, which means if the executive says the budget is 70 billion, the legislature can make all the adjustments. It must remain 70 billion. Nigeria, unfortunately, this is not the case. The National Assembly has become bolder in recent reviews of the budget by tweaking certain proposed budgets. For example, in 2025, budget uncovered that 11,122 projects were added to the budget worth 6.95 trillion naira. In fact, in 2021, we had same issues. In 2025 proposed budget, 4,371 projects was added to the Ministry of Agriculture's budget alone. For example, the Ministry of Agriculture's proposed budget last year was 242 billion in terms of capital projects. That 242 billion became 1.95 trillion in the National Assembly. Now, what's the business of the Ministry of Agriculture with grinding machine, with street light, with palaces? This trend has gone worse every single. In fact, in 2021, 5,600 projects were added into the 2021 budget. Now, which means we've moved from 913 billion to 1.65 trillion naira, and to now even to 6.95 trillion naira. And it's now become more dangerous that NBAs now even shop for projects themselves. They'll tell lawmakers, can you put this into our MDA budget, our organization budget, our department budget? And you know that when those things happen, you know what gets done, when legislators and the executive leadership are collaborating together in that manner. Also, you have even agencies that are also even notorious, very notorious. In fact, some of them, like Federal Cooperative College or G-River, they just have a chunk of constituency project. Even when, what exactly is this place even doing? Almost every amount spent on capital projects in Nigeria is borrowed. Now, does it really now make sense to borrow projects to fund street lights, to fund palaces, balls, and poorly executed roads? This is the reason why the federal government owes contractors over 4 trillion naira. Those things will be packaged as new debt. It will pass on to future generation. Popular statements have shown that even the National Assembly is supported by the executive in this abuse, because we have heard things like National Assembly members are promised $1 billion naira each in constituency project. Unfortunately, the executive did not fund them. Now in 2026 budget, you look in 2026 budget, you still find those items, because 70% of projects in the 2025 budget were moved in the 2026 budget. The reality is that there is no substitute for fiscal discipline, and Nigeria will be in this disastrous fiscal loop unless it asks itself, what exactly is the budget supposed to do? Is the budget supposed to develop the society, or is it supposed to just benefit political actors? The executive must enforce discipline. We ask ourselves, what is the solution to this? We ask, let's put 2.5% of every capital budget for constituency project. That means if the executive is budgeting 100 billion for capital project, give 2.5% to National Assembly as constituency project, so that we are all happy, and we also understand that this is your constituency project. Don't touch the main budget. The other thing is also to ask the Supreme Court to interpret it for us, because Umaru Musa Yar'Adua tried to do that at some point in time, and it didn't work out. He said, okay, I'm going to talk to the Supreme Court about where exactly has the power to control the budget. Unfortunately, it didn't go to the Supreme Court. And at the end of the day, we do not even understand who has the power to control the budget. The most important part is to talk to the National Assembly. If you have great power, it must come with great responsibility. We agree, you have the power to control the budget. But is it in the interest of the country, or is it in advancing your political interest? Because if, for example, a member of the National Assembly wants to run for governor, he now directs every constituency project and shops around for MDs to make things happen. This is not supposed to be so. And that's the question we must ask. Who controls the Nigerian budget? Maybe that's not the question. This question is that how responsible are those who control the Nigerian budget? Thank you very much.